Zach is back. It's the Zach Gelb Show on Fox Sports 920 The Jersey.
All right, welcome back in. Football Friday. New book out, Eat My Schwartz, Our Story of NFL Football, Food, Family, and Faith. And Geoff Schwartz is a member of my tribe, NFL player, still trying to make it on in the league as he's a former New York Football Giant. His brother Mitch plays in the league right now. And Geoff is kind enough to give us a few minutes right now on the Zach Gelb Show. Geoff, thanks for the time. Congrats on the book, and how are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on today.
Well, thank you for coming on, and I appreciate the time. So you still have a lot of your story still to be told, and I thought it was interesting that you and your brother released the book now because you guys, aren't old, you're not retired yet. So why did you write the book now, and why did you think it was important to tell your story at this time?
Well, I think, first of all, you want to write a book when you're relevant, obviously, and I think we're still relevant. I mean, maybe me not so much. My brother definitely is, being paid as a free agent, the top of his class at right tackle. And, when we came up with the fact that we were the first Jewish brothers in the NFL since 1923, I think we reflected on our journey to get where we are and realized what a unique story it is and how, we thought people would like to hear about it. So, we wrote the book. It's gotten good reviews. We've enjoyed the process of going through it, and people seem to enjoy it.
Well, I absolutely love your story, and I was reading that you didn't start playing football until you were 13 years old. Why was that, and then when did you know that, hey, you're pretty darn good at this football thing?
Yeah, I really didn't play tackle football until I was 15 or 16.
Wow.
Yeah, we didn't play as kids. We were too big to play. I don't think my parents really wanted me to play. And then I showed up to high school as a freshman. I was 14 or whatever. And the JV football coach saw me and asked me to come play, and I said sure. And I played one snap that year. And the following year, my sophomore year, I started on JV, moved up to varsity, but did not play O-line until I was a junior in high school.
That's unbelievable. So when you got to Oregon, how much were you still learning about the game since you were pretty new to it?
That's a good question. I haven't thought about it much. I've always picked it up pretty easily, at least the mental part of it. I think physically, I was still learning a lot when I got to college, early on. Just how to strike guys, how to use your hips, how to use your leverage, things like that. It wasn't so tough mentally. I just remember physically, there's always an adjustment period. The speed picks up, and the violence and the hitting and what you're asked to do, always picks up as you go up in levels.
So you are 3 years older than your brother. You're the older brother in the family. Tell me a little bit about the competitive nature you and your brothers had growing up.
We're always competitive in everything that we did. And I was always bigger than him, like significantly bigger. Now we've evened out a little bit. So I always won most of the competitions. But we created a game, I'm not even sure it's in the book, called Squish, where we would line up in our door jamb of our bedroom, and we have a football. And we try, as our goal line stand, you try to squish each other, squish yourself through the door jamb to get a touchdown. And we're always wrestling, competing, like wiffle ball, football, basketball, anything. And I was the bigger brother. I won most of them, but they don't actually admit that. I'm actually surprised my brother will admit that.
Well, as a sibling and someone that does have I don't have a brother, but I have an older sister, we always get in stupid fights, and that's just the nature of the beast when you have two kids similar in age growing up and going through immaturity and all that stuff. Did you and your brother, how many stupid fights did you guys get into when you were younger?
We didn't get into many physical altercations. Brothers bicker. You talked about it. Family members that are close in age will always bicker with each other. Even now, my brother and I, we're great friends, and I love my brother, but we disagree on things, and we bicker. I mean, we're brothers. I don't know who doesn't. I think it's weird if you're a sibling and you never have a disagreement with your other sibling. That's crazy.
Yeah, and you're also a liar if you're one of them that say, oh, well, we never get in a fight or anything like that, because you're exactly right, like what you were just saying as we're talking to Geoff Schwartz on the Zach Gelb Show right now. Eat My Schwartz is the book, our story of NFL football, food, family, and faith. So what kind of football fan were you growing up as a kid? Did you watch a lot of football? I know you weren't playing it, but did you watch a lot of football?
Oh, huge football fan. I'm still a huge football fan. I mean, I watch all the games even though I'm not playing in it. We grew up UCLA fans. Both my parents went to UCLA, so we had season tickets. We still do. And I went to every game as a kid, every home game. You know, every away game on Saturday, we were playing in front of the TV watching UCLA. And then we grew up 49er fans. So Sundays was devoted to the Niners. And that's how it was as a kid. And, you know, still now, 1 o'clock on Sunday, my wife knows that I'm watching football.
There's nothing like a 1 o'clock on Sunday because it's football, food, and family. I have so many good memories growing up as a kid, watching my team, that's the New England Patriots, and having so much food and just having good times with my family. But I'm a big guy. I know you and your brother are very big guys. You guys must have went through a lot of food on a football Sunday, right?
Oh, the amount of food we eat together is ridiculous. My parents have a industrial-sized freezer in their garage, like the big old freezer, and we would get meat and fish and poultry delivered to the freezer. That's how we got our meats and stuff, and it would fit a 6 months worth of food in the freezer. And at our high point, my brother and I would go through the food in 2 months.
Wow.
So, yeah.
My dad always makes fun of the Bills costs, though, when I was growing up as a kid, as how much food I would go through. But I also, one of the favorite parts about growing up was the bar mitzvah in our Jewish religion. What do you remember about your bar mitzvah?
It's semi-terrifying.
Yeah, it's very scary.
People don't realize that. I got a lot of money, and that was great, and all that.
Of course.
You're up there, and you're reading the Torah in a foreign language, and people, I don't think people even know that they're not Jewish. Like there's Hebrew, and then there's the Torah, which is different Hebrew than regular Hebrew. So it's different. The vowels are different. It's pronounced different, and so you're reading the Torah, and there's these guys that are fact checking you as you're reading it, and you're in front of 300 people, and it's just you're 13. And it really is a rite of passage, and everyone who's done it before you will keep doing it, and it's a lot of fun at the end. Now you look back on it and you're very proud of the moment.
I remember mine. I was nervous. I butchered my entire tune. I mispronounced so many of the Hebrew words, but you did talk about the nerves, no doubt about that. Were you more nervous for your bar mitzvah, though, or your first game in the NFL?
I think there are different types of nerves, right? Your bar mitzvah, you're just hitting puberty. You're just anxious being in front of people. My first NFL game was a Sunday night football game. We were playing the Vikings. It was week 14, week 15. They were good. We were okay. So I wasn't really worried about the stage. I was worried about playing football and you guys I was going against. And I just remember it was a lot of fun. We won the game. I played well, and just the amount of energy and how tired I was at the end of the first quarter. You learn as you play to pace yourself with your energy, because you can definitely wear yourself out early in games by being too excited and blowing all your energy early.
Yeah, controlling those emotions are always so interesting, because in the market that we are in New Jersey, you have a lot of Giants fans and you also have a lot of Eagles fans. And, watching so much football, I even saw you tweeting about the kid, Carson Wentz. The way that he looks so cool, calm, and collective through his first 2 games is really impressive, Geoff.
Yeah, and I know everyone wants to say, well, he played the Browns and he played the Bears, but when you're taking a hit from a linebacker, it doesn't matter what team the linebacker's from, right? If you're taking that hit and you're making a throw across the middle of the field, you can do that against anybody. Now, maybe he's not getting hit as much as he would against the Steelers this week, but I think what you've seen from him is the coaching staff really trust him. They come out empty against the Bears the first 5 plays, let him choose his routes, let him choose the protection. So they definitely have a lot of faith in him, and he's done a good job so far. And I'm excited to see him against the Steelers this weekend, against a defense that's been in place for 30 years, and to see what they're going to bring for him.
How much does a veteran presence really help a rookie like that? Because he's going through a lot of things at the NFL stage for the first time. He's been playing football for most of his life, but still, I'm sure he's relying on a lot of those veterans in the locker room, right, Geoff?
Yeah, well, I think Jason Kelsey at center is just a huge plus for him. A guy who's seen it all, who's been through all the looks versus everything. He's really been able to help him with blitz pickup, and then having two tackles, elite tackles, Jason Peters and Wayne Justin, he's not getting hit. That's a huge thing for a young rookie quarterback. If you look at the rookie quarterbacks that are playing, somewhat decently, they're not getting hit. Dak Prescott and Wentz not getting hit. It's easier to play when you're standing upright.
Wrapping up with Geoff Schwartz, who joins us right now on the Zach Gelb Show. So I know you still watch a lot of Giants football. A lot of people were throwing out your name and possibly a reunion when you got cut from the Lions. So far through 2 games, Giants 2-0. How would you evaluate the Giants' offensive line so far through the first 2 games of this season?
I think they've done a good job. They've only let Eli get hit a couple times, which is important. The goal of any offense is to keep the quarterback upright, and especially a guy like Eli, he controls so much of what's going on. The Giants just offensively have so many weapons with Cruz and Shepard back now, and they're going to be very hard to stop as the season goes on.
And they have a really good defense, it looks like, this year. I don't think they'll be top 10, but as long as they could be middle of the pack, 15th, 14th, whatever, that should be a team that should be able to take advantage of the NFC East. First-year head coach, though, in Ben McAdoo. He was the offensive coordinator last year. What can you tell me about Ben McAdoo and how he will be as a head coach for the New York Football Giants?
Well, I think he's going to be very prepared. It's not to say, Coach Coughlin wasn't prepared, but I think that, Ben is very meticulous and he will have a plan for every situation. You saw at the end of the game on Sunday, taking the 3 knees and kicking the field goal. He just always will kind of have every scenario in his head wrapped up before the game. And I think guys trust him. From what I've heard from guys that are there, they've enjoyed things being a little different, and we'll see how it goes as the season goes on.
When you take a look back at your career, your brief career with the Giants, is it at all frustrating just because of the injuries? I know you can't control the injuries, but does some frustration and disappointment come to mind when you look back at your career with the Giants?
Well, for sure. I mean, I signed a deal with the Giants to come in and help the offensive line and to get us going, running the ball better, and obviously protect the Eli. And the injuries I had were no fault of mine. I mean, I dislocated my big toe. First time the team doctor had seen it in 30 years. I mean, what are the chances of that? Come back and break my leg twice. I mean, I don't know. So I prepare the same all the time. I rehab back from my injuries, and it's just disappointing, the way it ended up. But I don't have any regrets about my time there. I mean, I gave it my all, and I can't do nothing about getting hurt.
Now, before we let you run, have they been active? Do you expect to play in the National Football League again? What's your future looking like?
Well, I'm working out like I'm going to play again. I think it's going to take a good situation. It's going to take a long-term injury. There's certain guys banged up week to week. That's not really going to help me very much. But if a certain situation arises where they need a veteran to come in and play right away, then they can count on me.
How old's your youngster, by the way?
I got a 2-year-old who we just got in the car. You probably hear him. And then I got another one, and she is 2 months.
Okay, well, soon you'll be having their bar and bat mitzvahs, and we do wish you congratulations on the book. I'm looking forward to reading to it, and we hope to see you back in the NFL real soon, Geoff. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks so much. There's Geoff Schwartz joining us on the Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920 The Jersey. That's a very interesting story. You don't see too many Jewish players in the National Football League, and I always have fun when you could talk about somebody's bar or bat mitzvah, because I remember going to so many of those as a 12, 13-year-old kid. We played for you on my show when we had Howie Rose on. Howie Rose actually introduced me at my bar mitzvah. He had a home run call, and my jackass friend screamed out after the home run call concluded, and then Gelb woke up from his dream. But that is definitely a fun time, and you get a whole lot of money, too. It's fantastic because you have the big party, you do the tough work, reading the Haftorah portion or whatever they call it, and then you get paid, baby. There's nothing like a good bar mitzvah. And there's a lot of good food at these bar mitzvahs. You always start with the cocktail hour, and they walk around the pigs in the blanket, and you have the fancy drinks and all that great stuff. And then you have the big party. You either do it during the day or you have one at night. I was a nighttime. My family was a nighttime kind of crowd. My sister's party was at night, I'm pretty sure, and then my party was at night as well. So that's what you have right there with Geoff Schwartz. Once again, the book is called Eat My Schwartz, Our Story of NFL Football Food, Family, and Faith. Imagine trying to be his parents growing up and trying to feed two future NFL players. And they didn't even play football for most of their life. It's unbelievable how they could pick up the game that late and still have two sons in the National Football League in Geoff and Mitch. So far, I thought there was going to be a reunion, though, with the Giants and Geoff because he's familiar with the system. And it was announced today Marshall Newhouse is going to be ruled out for this Week 3 game against the Redskins. But let's do a little Giants talk. We still got some more Mets talk to do, and Mark Eckel will join us at 5:15. So let's just touch on the Giants real quickly. This is a game when you play the Washington Redskins. The Redskins are 0-2. The Giants are 2-0. The Giants won 2 nail-biters to start off the season in Dallas and then last week at home against the New Orleans Saints. This is a game, though, that you can cement yourself, and it's not a game that you win the division, but this is a game where you can knock off some of your competition. There have been teams that have started out 0-2 and have gone on to reach the playoffs. Now, the chances aren't that great and the percentages aren't that great, but if you start out the year 0-3, your chances of getting to the playoffs are slim to none. And the Giants can knock off one of their adversaries this weekend if they get the victory and walk out of MetLife Stadium with the win and they advance to 3-0 and the Redskins go to 0-3. And the Giants, you're going to see a lot of their character this weekend because out of the gate, it looks like a good start. They've won the close games. That was the downfall of this team last year. But if this is really a changed team, not only do they win the game on Sunday, they embarrass Washington. You win by 2 scores. Or you win by a touchdown, something like that. You do not make this come down to a last-second drive or a game-winning field goal by Josh Brown. You show that you're the superior team. And this is a big test. And some people may laugh at that because the Redskins are 0-2. But let's remember, just because the Giants started out 2-0 doesn't mean everything is erased from last year. It's not a race until they get back to the playoffs, something they have not made since the last time they won the Super Bowl. So this is a game where you could say, okay, Washington, we are the superior team. This is our division to win in the NFC East, and you are an inferior team. And last year, you fooled everyone with Kirk Cousins at quarterback, and now you are going back and reverting to your old ways. But it's impossible to talk about this game without alluding to what everyone is going to be paying attention to. And that is when the Redskins defense is on the field against the New York Giants offense. Specifically, the matchup between Odell Beckham Jr. and the loquacious Josh Norman. But where this game is going to be won, in my opinion, for the Giants, is the secondary options at the wide receiving position. Look who has won them the games in the first 2 weeks. Shepard, really good first 2 games. Victor Cruz, game-winning touchdown in week number 1, and then the acrobatic, miraculous grab in week number 2 to set up the game-winning field goal. So, yes, you still want to see success out of Odell. And yes, Josh Norman is going to be covering him everywhere unless if Odell goes in the slot. But it's more than just those 2 players. The game is not going to be won and lost off those 2 players unless if Josh Norman, for a second year in a row, gets in the head of one Odell Beckham Jr. And that throws Odell off, then that causes him to have foolish, unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. I don't believe that will be the case because last year it was not controlled. Now there's a lot of attention around that issue, and there's a lot of attention around this matchup that I believe Odell Beckham will be more mature. And he may not dominate Josh Norman. He may dominate Josh Norman, but he won't let Josh Norman get under his skin. And if I'm a betting man, I'm saying Josh Norman is coming out of the gate, jamming him, throwing some cheap shots, and trying to spark that fear back in Odell Beckham Jr. But Odell is an elite wide receiver in this league, just like Josh is an elite cornerback in this league. But with Odell, when you're an elite player in this league, you're held to higher standards, and you need to conduct yourself well. And you can't be taking stupid, unsportsmanlike conduct penalties and letting Josh Norman get in your head. Because the best revenge for Odell Beckham Jr. is to walk out of MetLife Stadium on Sunday with a 3-0 record, and that would mean the Giants would have a W, and then Josh Norman, who was let go by the Panthers once they couldn't get a long-term deal, settled, and, oh, God forbid he had to settle because he got all that money in D.C., our nation's capital. So sending him to 0-3 would be the best revenge. And any time, because of what happened in the first time these two players met, now when they meet 2 times a year in the NFC East, this is going to be brought up. Because that's the storyline. That's the juicy play. But all Odell has to do is just ignore the noise, play his best brand of football, and even if you get half of his best brand, it's usually better than other teams' number 1s or number 2s, and just don't let Josh Norman get into your head. Don't fall for his antics, because the minute you fall for those antics, the story will change and Josh Norman will win again. But I'm confident in Odell after going through all this crap and having to deal with, how disgusting it was, how he conducted himself. This was a WWE matchup when the last 2 times these players got together. And Odell fell for it and clearly let Josh Norman get into his head. And Josh Norman, with all of his antics in the offseason on Twitter, bashing one Odell Beckham Jr., I believe Odell down deep is just going to say, okay, I'm Odell Beckham. I am a stud wide receiver. Corners can't guard me. Eli, throw me the ball deep. If I'm a decoy, we're going to beat you. We're going to chew you up with Victor Cruz. Let him salsa. Let the rookie, the young gun, and Sterling Shepard use his speed and his separation, and we're going to beat you all up and down the field. That is what Odell Beckham needs to be thinking. Not, let me just individually burn Josh Norman. Because this is a team sport, not an individual sport. That's why the Patriots formula works so well, because they're all about the team. It's not one player. So Odell will realize that. Odell, I believe, already knows that. And Odell will not let Josh Norman get to him the second time around. And he will let his play do the talking. He won't get into the verbal altercations until after the game when Josh Norman, when they go to shake hands, if they do shake hands, that will be some compelling television, by the way, after the game. And then Odell could say, see, Giants 3-0, you're 0-3. Clown, you're not that funny anymore. Your story is over. Josh Norman, goodbye. C'est la vie. Adios. Farewell. That is how you win this battle. You play as a team, and you do your talking after the game when you have the victory on the scoreboard. This is the Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920, the Jersey. Time right now in our Princeton Orthopedic Associates studios, 4:39. What we'll do right now is we'll take a quickie break. When we get back on the other side, I have some audio for you from the thrilling Mets win last night, and also an injury report on the Jets, Giants, and ES Eagles. Zach Gelb Show will be right back.